Happy Friday. Welcome back to El Nino. This is El Nino, our Friday check-in. Today is Friday, December 19th, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Laakis, and today we are doing probably one of the last check-ins we have of 2025. On my side, we're working on the updates for putting the new collection on the homepage and adding it to the inventory page.
Yes.
It's in process. It'll be done before Monday, so I'll send you that update either today or over the weekend as we get that rolled out. Tossing over to you, however you want to drive this or anywhere that you want to be talking about.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think that was where we left off. I did this interactive NFT where I'm kind of sharing the process and telling the story of the album, and it's all within this NFT. It's going to be a limited open edition up until the point that the album releases, and the album right now is scheduled for release in February 2026. So I'll do maybe like two more songs prior to then, and then the full album release 2026 across all platforms, including Maravilloso. And we talked about a checkout experience on how to collect and support the album on chain that we started working on. But because I pushed the project back a little bit, we kind of pushed that off to the side. So that would be the goal, is to get this interactive NFT integrated into the Maravilloso site, share it, and then album is scheduled for February. So I'm hoping that by then we could then change focus over to getting the album live on the Maravilloso experience, and then we can close out that chapter. Even though we've sort of started working on it, so I'm hoping to see what that would look like in practice once we bring it to life in February once we launch.
You say in February is when we'll start loading the album into the site?
Yeah, exactly. That'll be like the full album, 14 songs, and anything else that I come up with, packaging it into the on-chain experience. I did have the Zora profile for the album, so I kind of wanted to experiment with using the coins in that sense, kind of distributing them as rewards for people collecting, supporting, and playing a bit with that, experimenting with it. But yeah, we should have that up by February if we could, and then this one, like you said, we'll have it up by Monday. So I'm excited to share that one too. I know there's like, so for Basil, I know that NFTs had a big moment, or digital art. Everyone was saying like it's digital art. So I think that was pretty cool. I didn't get a chance to go this year, but I think that going into next year, we might see some interesting things happening with NFTs. But it might not be the two on the nose, just wrapping media or content, putting it up on chain and hoping for collects and things like that. I think we're going to a more interesting place where I think people are going to be playing with more programmable stuff, and just more unique things to kind of stand out a bit. I don't know what it's going to look like for music or music artists, so that should be interesting to see. But obviously things have changed a lot, but I'm excited to keep exploring and experimenting with this.
Who are the practitioners you feel are most representative of where you think or where you're most optimistic about where music on chain is heading for 2026? Are there any artists or platforms or tools that you think are highlighting the vision that you're experiencing or that you think is coming for 2026?
Yeah, so I'm seeing, specifically for music, it's a little difficult to pinpoint. There's not a lot of us. I know that Dav, produced by Dav, he did a collection with Super Rare. Well, I think it was a one of one. He did that with Super Rare. They got curated, they exhibited. That did really well. Everyone had something unique to offer. I think that's cool. So there are platforms and tools. So whether that's Super Rare, Transient, Manifold still has a lot of open tools. I like what you guys are doing in process. It's a different take and approach on sharing media works, process stuff. So I'm liking stuff like that. It's unique. And I would say, though, when you're using things like Manifold, Transient, at the moment, it's a bit like it's not a shared space of musicians and artists kind of working together, collaborating together, sharing works together. So that makes it more isolating, and it's harder to kind of grow or share your work. You're kind of relying on socials and relationships at that point. So that would be probably the biggest challenge going into the new year. Anyone experimenting with music or artists experimenting on chain, that's a challenge. I'm not. I haven't been following too much what Coop is doing in terms of the platform. I don't know if they're still doing coins or the NFTs that then they vote to convert into coins, song coins, and growing with that, kind of like the Zora model, but for music. Um, I think what was it, Bond, Join Bond, which was Royal. I think that's interesting. It feels more like a feature to me, more so than a product that artists would use, and it's also too passive. So I think that like if we want to disrupt in music, I think we got to be a little more aggressive. If you want to disrupt and kind of make a noise, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, that's kind of just me off the top, kind of seeing where things are going and where they're at the moment. But it's even Base kind of shared, or Brian from Coinbase shared that should Base focus on being, financial app, or should they keep playing with coins and creators and social, right? The separation, or focusing on both of those things, right? So now we're getting pessimistic about creators on chain, even though that's kind of been the narrative for the last year or so, year and a half. So
Yeah.
that makes things pretty interesting to me.
I saw that post. What was he also mentioned? Is this a false dichotomy? Like, is it not a spectrum between traders and creators? What did you think seeing that post?
I think it was pressure. I think that when you have the narrative was a bit too forced for some time, and I think that's why they got a little pushback. Well, this time it seems like it reached the top, literally. So, um, I think there's a point to it. I think when you try to combine these two things, like social and finance and all these things, like we've seen iterations of it. I think that because of that, they're questioning it, right? Is this really going to work? Is this working? Is it a secondary layer? But then if you make it a secondary layer, is it even worth pursuing? Is it worth putting in time, resources, your team, all that mental, space on that? I don't know. I think that social, for the most part, as we've seen it, it's like its own individual space. Even like when you see Instagram and it's packed with a ton of features, or even Facebook, like you go on Facebook right now and it's like a full like software. Like there's so many settings and things that you can do and features, and it gets really overwhelming because it's an everything app. I don't know if adding another layer of finance and tools and wallets on top of all the social things to keep up is it's a bit overwhelming. I don't know, for the user, for the fan, for the creator. It's a lot to kind of manage, deal with, handle. So he's asking the right questions, obviously, right? Like, so I'm curious where it goes. But it's like I feel like a lot of this was kind of predicted, right? Like these finance apps adding like a social layer to it for Signal, for I think if anything, it's gonna work for that, right? Like Robinhood, if Robinhood adds a social feed or whatever, it's gonna be for investing, stocks, assets, equities. Like, hey, like what are you guys using for yield? Or like what's the best trade this week? Or like it'll be centered around that.
You got to be really tough to be an on-chain musician because every year, every season, someone's like, creators are getting paid over here, and you see people getting paid a lot, and then you move over there, and then a month later they say, well, are we about creators or are we about traders? And if you see the cycle long enough, you'll see everybody always goes to traders because of the financial. Traders are putting money into your system. They're going to be paying fees on that. That leads to happy investors. Creators are wanting to get paid. Some of them will put a portion back in to buy other artists' art, but they're trying to make a living, and their contribution is art and content and culture, whereas traders is strictly financial. I think personally, I'm still really excited about artists building their own things.
Mhm.
And you had mentioned last time we talked, you went out afterwards and tried vibe coding some more stuff, and then you hit a blocker.
Yeah. So here's a cool thing. I hit a blocker, and within a few days, I like got the vibe coding bug. So I'm like full running it. Like now I'm like I feel like I reached a new level just by actually committing to Cursor and really putting in the work there. I was able to finally like build the thing and make it happen. And it was cool because as I'm building, I'm using it, and that's the feedback to keep iterating and fixing things and adjusting things, which is kind of obvious, but a lot of times we build and then we'll use our own thing, our own product or something. But I kind of approached it like music. Like when I go in and I record a bunch of songs, there's been times where I kind of let them sit And then later on, I'm like kind of rushing to like make adjustments, fixes, find the right producer, the right collaborator. So I wanted to avoid that with building the thing. And I basically found myself like, let me actually use it, get that feedback right away, and then iterate based on that. Like, is it breaking? Is it working? Is this too much? Am I working backwards? So I'm excited because I finally feel like I unlocked something that I've been wanting to do for many years. And the cool thing is that I didn't have to like combine learning. If you get what I'm saying, I'm learning in the process. I'm learning in the moment. I didn't have to go out and watch a video and a tutorial and then go and build a thing. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go in and break shit. You know what I mean? And like it worked out, and I'm still kind of in disbelief. And so I found myself taking a step back and using, GPT and Claude to figure things out. Like how do I back this up? How do I get this on GitHub? How do I protect this? How do I secure this? Is this the right way? Like I got onto that. So the days off I took from building and creating, I spent it figuring out how, like, if what I'm building is real and if what I'm building is worth me backing it up, securing it, and all those things. So it's just been a crash course over the last 2 weeks, I want to say. So it's been exciting, and I'm basically what I'm building is an operating system for my career and my music business. And so like I started doing that, and I have a dashboard, I have a catalog manager, revenue manager, I have an analytics side, I have the streaming side. I added like an assistant, so basically just a chat bot, just because I wanted to learn how to integrate that, and then using open AI, to do it. And then yeah, it's very MVP, but it's still production ready. You know what I mean? Like, but it's still local. I'm still kind of working on it local. I'm learning how to, you know, deal with like commits and pushing that and like iterating. I maxed out credits like within a week because I accidentally used Opus 4.5, and I loved it, and I was in a flow state, and then I realized I capped it, right? And so I'm back to auto, and that's been working fine enough for what I need to do. So right now I'm tempted to jump to the next thing, but this is so useful and valuable to me that I'm kind of doubling down, and so I'm actually gonna start using it like a real product, like a real tool for myself, because that was the goal, right? So I'm avoiding like jumping to the next thing and jump into that, and like, and then kind of keeping it internal is less pressure for now. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna start talking to get different perspectives from like a producer, a songwriter. Because even though I'm those things, I'm more of a full-time artist. And I think they're full-time at what they do. And I would like to see and learn what they would like to see in this sort of like operating system vibe that I'm building out.
The best products are the products you want to use yourself. A lot of us build products for problems that maybe we don't see, and so if you're building something and you find yourself using it, that's one of the strongest signals that it's a product worth pursuing. It sounds like you've already got it running locally. Have you hosted it anywhere? Do you have it on a domain that you can visit on your phone or anywhere else, or only when you know what localhost 3000 is now?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Before,
you
like,
haven't done any deployment.
right. I haven't done that yet. Like I knew about localhost, but it was like really simple HTML stuff that I would do. Like,
Mhm.
oh, that's cool, but like I didn't know how deep I could actually take it.
Mhm.
And then now it's like, okay, this is sick. And then the fact that Cursor has the built-in browser, which apparently some people don't like. And I
I
was,
don't use it, but Sid loves all the bells and whistles of Cursor because
yeah,
he's like you, like he's
okay.
traditional music. So
Yeah. I still like I got Arc browser, so I'll go on
Mhm.
there. But I still kind of like it for like quick little things. I like the in browser, but I hate when it kind of redirects me to like an actual site that I don't want to be on because I
Interesting.
have an integration or something. So it'll take me to, I don't know, song stats or I was filling out like, so I'm filling out a release on my catalog page, and I don't know what I did. I exited. No, I was filling it out and I clicked the link. It was supposed to open in a new tab, but it can't do that, I think, in the browser. And that completely showed me, okay, I need to add like some sort of draft or autosave feature to this. So that kind of worked out in my favor, because then I was able to add like a draft in case I do exit out or whatever, accidentally click something. So that's something cool I added to the catalog manager based on a mistake, really. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm inspired to keep kind of pushing it.
Mhm.
Um, And I haven't gotten to that point where I'm like, let me reach out to Sweetman just yet. So that's a good thing. And if I did, it would be for like feedback or a deeper integration. I ran into a ton of issues with like APIs and endpoints. And what was the other thing? I'm using Supabase.
Wow.
That was tricky at
Yeah.
first. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. I think. And it's still tricky, but yeah, just kind of playing with those things, right? Like the logic, I guess, of things and how they're connecting and making sense and making sure that I don't work backwards, right? What if I find myself in a situation where then I'm like, okay, should all these tables be under the same project, or like how am I organizing this? Even my project sidebar thing, like, is that organized enough? Like, I'm thinking about those things too. So I'm not just kind of shooting darts. I am, but at the same time, I'm thinking through like, no, I want this to work, so I need it to be clean, right? Or whatever. So yeah, it's been fun, honestly. I'm excited.
That's
But
one of the biggest things is it needs to be clean. Like it's very easy to keep going and expand the features and add more and more onto it. And then you get to a place where you wake up the next day and you don't remember how to run it, or it doesn't work on X, Y, and Z. And you have this big old spaghetti ball of that doesn't work. And so my big thing is a lot of people think AI is going to make everything move really fast, and it does. I try to use this to really slow down and, okay, this works. Does it work on my mobile phone? Can I deploy it? Oh, it crashes on the build. What haven't I thought of on this feature? How can I get to an edge case of it? How can I really make this robust? And then afterwards, now let me look at the code. How can I break this into smaller files? How can I make the code cleaner? Does this make sense? How much can I remove? Because there's the prototype, and then usually you can remove a lot to get it to a better state. Do you know what language your code is written on?
so right now it should be like TypeScript. Let me double check. Well, according to the GitHub right now, I see TypeScript and then PLPG, SQL. It says other at 1%, so it's not really telling me, but it is obviously Next.js and
It is Next.js. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
next, if you're building on Next.js, have you thought about where you want to host it? And it sounds like you've already got GitHub, so you figured out how to use GitHub.
Yes. Well, I mean, it should be the right way. Right now it's a private one.
Private repository.
Yeah, yeah. But that I'm basically using well, if I did host it, I'm thinking Versal,
Yep.
right? Just to
Yep.
kind of test things out, a deployment. I haven't done that yet. Would you recommend I do that sooner than later, or is that kind of just optional at the moment based on me building it the way I'm building it locally?
It is optional. I do recommend doing it because one of the things you'll find is the situation of it works locally,
Okay.
and then you push it, and then you'll get error messages, and then
Okay.
you'll go back in it's a good cleanup step of
Okay.
it's working for you locally, but then when you push it, TypeScript throws an error on the build
Mhm.
step, and then you're like, there's 10 imports in here that I'm not using, and that threw an error. Let me delete those.
Okay.
This is referencing something that doesn't actually exist. I'm actually not using this file at all. Why do I even have this here? Let me just delete this thing altogether. And you go through those errors, and then when it works on a deployed, then you're like, that's a really stable place when it's working on a deployed link. Because then if this computer breaks, great, you've got it on GitHub, you've got it on Vercel, you can use it on your phone. If you're
Right.
visiting your family in another city, you can use it wherever. And because it's on GitHub, if your machine breaks, you can clone it and use it
Mm, mm.
on a different device, or you can import it to V0.
Okay.
And it should be 30 seconds. Like if you wanted, in the last 3 minutes of this call, we could walk you through sharing screen, connecting it, and get it. There's no credit card needed. I've never put a credit card into Vercel,
Okay.
and you'll connect your GitHub,
Okay.
and then it'll load all your repositories in. You'll select your repo for your project, and then it'll do the build. And because you're using Supabase and stuff, I'm sure you have environment variables. So
Yes.
the first crash you'll probably see is it saying you're missing your Supabase key or all that stuff that you
Okay.
have in your .env file locally. And so then Vercel has environment variables. So you'll go into the settings, go to the environment variables, and then you can just copy and paste. You can open up your environment variables locally, and then do Control A, and then Control V directly into, or Control A, Control C to copy, and
Okay.
then Control V right into the environment variables in Vercel, and it'll divide it up across those fields and put them all in, and then you just click save, and then when you redeploy, then you'll hopefully pass. that's a good step to be able to observe more objectively. Like, this is
the
awesome locally. The LLM's telling me I'm a genius.
right.
Pushing it is a good objective step of like, this thing actually doesn't build, it actually doesn't deploy, or it does deploy. And then that's affirmation of like, yes, excellency, you are actually like a genius. This is actually working as you thought. And
I
like,
got it. Let's see.
you can be more trusting in that emotion that you're feeling that you are on the right path.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense though. I guess I was kind of holding back from deploying just because I thought it wasn't necessary, but maybe I was holding back because maybe it was gonna break more shit.
You're in the step where it's great to be building confidence and that you're experimenting. The goal in my mind, at your point in the seed, you have a seed that is slowly opening. It's like, oh shoot, there's actually like a plant that could live out of this. The goal right now is to give it an environment where it feels safe to get those first upshoot, to reach the sun and get some roots in so that it can have that stability. So if you just want to run it locally, run it locally. I think the goal is to just, for you and your stage, keep getting iterations so that you build up that confidence in yourself of like, this is actually a muscle I can work. And to not get hit with too much rejections. It's nice to get those little bits of like, oh, I hit this error. Oh, I overcame this error. That helps you to get stronger, but you don't want to hit those big errors of like, I'm doing this thing, I'm trying to deploy, but I don't even know why I'm deploying. And there's like a million errors. Sweetman told me I needed to do this. And then you're just in this cycle of like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. And it's frustrating me. We want to avoid that.
I hit that hurdle doing some stuff with data and API stuff. But yeah, I figured it's part of the process and I'm not in a rush to build this. But yeah, I've been meaning to just be like, I wanted to deploy to share as well, right? To be like, yo, like, look at this thing, right? And get feedback and then see where I can go from there. So I'm excited.
Because I'm saying, in my mind, when you're saying this, I'm like, you're using Cursor, download the El Nino map repository, and you could do these manifold changes.
Right. So that was another thing, because I'm like, it was for a different idea, but I was like, I wanted a home, let's say for me, where I can then migrate my projects into that. So when people land on La X world, they can open Maravilla within La X world instead of me having these separate domains and projects that we've been doing. If I can house everything, like now that could be interesting. And like you said, I can start making adjustments and changes. But when I hit those big roadblocks, or if I want to integrate a more complicated smart contract or something that requires a little more security or a little more, that's when it's like, okay, that makes sense. Because I'm a collaborator and I like to have people that really know their shit. I do the same thing with music. I can produce, but I get people that do it all the time, regardless of Suno, regardless of Splice and all these tools we have. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yep. It's good to surround yourself with smarter people. It's why I have a legal team. It's why I bring artists all around me. Like, you want to be the dumbest person in the room and have geniuses at everything you're working on. It's going to create a much better product. So all of this, not to be like trying to distance myself from you, more of just like empowering you so that we're not waiting a month or two just to update a contract address that you've.
I think it could be sick if we did a different call where it's a focus on my thing, and you can potentially help me out with like, let's connect it, let's deploy this thing, and let's see what you get. Okay, this is too much for the call, so you go back and fix some stuff or whatever. That could be an interesting call for the next one, because Maravilla's pretty advanced. I mean, it's one of those things where it's on me now. So, and I don't want to get you to just start iterating little things here and there and stuff. But yeah, that could be cool.
As we start to wrap up, is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you wanted to touch on during this call?
No, man, we got it all covered. So we can move forward with this one. I'm excited. Album February 2026. And if we get this recent NFT out there, it would be great. Just because I want to share it, trying something different, new, especially now that kind of sentiment is down on the music side, especially.
This will be in less than 2 weeks. You'll be in 2026. So this will be our last call for 2025. It's been a pleasure being with everybody this year, and we will see you in the new year.
Appreciate it as always.